I mean, it's not just the money, is it? It's this whole reality they build around it. You hit King Street, you hear the buzz, see the lights, and bam, you're instantly fed this story.
Oh yeah, King Street, the Wall Street of clubbing, that specific phrase.
Exactly. It paints this picture, right? Effortless glamour, maybe celebs, champagne everywhere, and this crazy idea that some people are actually paid to party.
Taking home serious tips, maybe thousands a night, it's pure escapism fantasy.
A life under neon, totally separate from, the everyday grind. But what if that whole shiny promise is just like a really well-made illusion?
That's the system we need to crack open tonight. Because under the surface, behind the velvet ropes and the pulsing bass, the curated Instagram feeds, there's this complex machine, often pretty brutal.
A hidden machinery.
Definitely. It's an economy with its own, sometimes predatory, rules. And the human side of it, totally different from the ads.
So that's the mission for this deep dive.
Yeah, strip away the illusion. Let's look at the real dynamics of the club scene. Where did it come from historically? Why was it about rebellion?
And how did it get to where it is now, with all the economic pressure, the surveillance, the social weirdness?
Right. How did these spaces that were meant for freedom become so incredibly controlled? And, crucially, who's benefiting from that control?
Okay, so let's start peeling back that first layer. The bottle girl. Seems like the ultimate glamour job from the outside, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Center of the party, surrounded by money, excitement. It looks amazing.
But the reality, well, someone who actually did it shared her story about her very first shift on King Street. And it hits hard, fast.
Yeah.
She walked in, felt instantly intimidated, just totally overwhelmed.
I can imagine.
She described being surrounded by these other women, all with perfect hair and makeup, just radiating this vibe of being very experienced.
The standard is set high immediately.
Think about stepping into that. You're new, maybe a bit green, and you're hit with this insane pressure to look perfect, act like you know everything.
In what's basically a high-speed, high-stakes social battlefield. Not just look good, look flawless, and know the game.
And what's really interesting when you look at the structure underneath it all is how fast that effortless fun idea just evaporates.
And becomes what?
It becomes this stark reality of a high-pressure sales job. It's not just bringing drinks over. It's a deep commodification, right? Your looks, your social circle, that's your capital now.
Your face is your fortune, literally.
Totally. The main thing she learned, super quick, was she had to book my own patrons, bring people in herself.
And the catch?
The catch, the economic lever, was simple. If I didn't book clients, I wouldn't get shifts. Boom.
So it's not a serving job, it's commission sales. Pure and simple, with huge stakes.
Your actual income isn't just about selling bottles to people already there. It's about how many new, big spenders you can personally charm and pull into the club.
Wow, that's relentless. A hustle that goes way beyond the club itself. It blurs work and life completely.
Your friends aren't just friends anymore. They're potential clients. Every social interaction could be work.
And it's not just sales, is it? You mentioned it wasn't just posing with a bottle.
Not at all. She listed all these hidden duties that were absolutely not glamorous. It showed the real physical work involved.
Like what?
She wasn't just handed bottles. She had to learn how to make drinks properly, how to constantly clean off the tables, take orders efficiently when it's crazy busy.
Right, and handle the money, cash people out, complex bills, multiple cards.
Exactly. It's manual labor. You're on your feet for hours, weaving through a dark, crowded room, juggling tables, orders, cash.
In a chaotic environment. Sounds exhausting, physically demanding, worlds away from the Instagram shot of just looking pretty.
And the toll, physical and emotional, is just huge. People don't see that part.
Tell me about it.
She described shifts starting around 9 p.m., going late, often meaning getting home at 5 or 6 in the morning.
Ugh. Killer schedule.
It led to her being sick all the time, getting sick constantly, always exhausted.
No recovery time.
And weekends. Not for fun. Weekends were for sleeping. She missed out on everything with her friends.
So why do it? What kept her going?
The harsh reality. My job was helping me pay for my education. It wasn't for fun, not for thrills. It was a desperate means to an end.
A huge sacrifice for something essential. That really highlights the economic vulnerability, doesn't it? Makes people susceptible to the demands.
So it stopped being about serving and became about survival, which meant she had to get really good at client management.
The relationships.
Yeah, with regulars, sure. But the real way to get more shifts, better money, was actively seeking out new clients at other high-end restaurants and clubs.
Wow, pounding the pavement, basically.
Kind of, but the strategy was key. Not to be pushy. It was like this subtle art. If people seemed interested, she'd just invite them to come by and check things out.
So.
Exactly. Turn a maybe into a loyal customer. Then they'd ask about booking their own table.
And that's where the minimum spend kicks in, the gatekeeper.
Totally. The VIP host figures it out based on the client's name, the date, how many guests, and, crucially, where the table is in the club.
Location, location, location.
Right. On a weekend, the absolute bottom was around $500 per table, which, she said, usually just got you one bottle.
So it's this layered system designed to maximize profit and create a visible social ladder right there on the dance floor.
And this brings us to the money itself, the income. It's wrapped in myths.
Big tips, right? That's the story.
Well, yeah, the potential is there. She averaged maybe $300 and $500 per night. And one time, pure luck, she called it, she made $2,500 from one very wealthy client.
Wow. Okay, so it can happen.
But the base pay, minimum wage, $16.55 an hour.
So it's incredibly inconsistent. You're totally reliant on landing those whales, those rich clients.
It's basically a lottery ticket disguised as a job. Your income depends on the random whims of a few people.
But what's even wilder, digging deeper into the system, that focus on appearance. It's not just implied, it's often contractual.
Contractual? What do you mean?
We've actually seen employment contracts. They literally spell out how much weight you're allowed to gain.
No way.
Yes way. And the club standards for hairstyle, body adornment, nail length, and wardrobe, it's all in there.
So your actual body's like a company asset, subject to rules.
Precisely. Subject to constant monitoring and control. Think about the psychology of that. Your looks aren't just part of the job, they are the job.
Every shift is an audition. Looking in the mirror is a performance review.
That level of scrutiny, it messes with your head, your self-worth, your body image, long after you quit. It's a system built to squeeze value from people's physical presence.
That is incredibly chilling. To have your physical self literally written into a contract, defining how you have to exist in that space.
How do you even deal with that daily? It must feel like such an invasion.
And then, on top of that, there are the supplemental duties, which sounds vague, but it blurs the lines even more, right, into exploitation.
What kind of duties?
Bottle girls are often expected to entertain their tables, doing elaborate bottle presentations, sure, but also joining guests for shots.
Okay, that's pushing it.
And even dancing for or with them. It's not just service anymore, it's a performance. A social interaction designed to extract more value.
Not just from the bottle, but from the experience, often crossing personal boundaries.
Yeah. And of course, this job has a built-in timer, doesn't it?
The age-out phenomenon.
Exactly. Women are expected to age out because of the relentless focus on appearance. It just highlights how temporary, how disposable this kind of glamour really is.
It's a setup. Engineered vulnerability, economically and socially.
It's clear. Behind the glitter, it's a tough economic reality with intense control. Far from glamorous.
And this whole tension between the party and the control, it's not new. It's baked into the history of nightlife itself.
Right. There's always been this appetite for nightlife. It goes so far back into human existence.
It's fundamental. This need to gather, music, dance, escape the everyday, almost primal.
Totally primal. That beat calling you. And as that urge persisted, the places and the substances just changed with the times.
We've seen this whole progression, right? From saloons, beer gardens,
to secret speakeasies during Prohibition.
And then the modern nightclubs we know. Each era brought its own flavor of intoxicants.
Year one decade, then maybe opium stuff like laudanum, heroin, whiskey, cocaine.
What's really wild historically is realizing that illegal substances are nothing more than a historical accident.
What do you mean?
What's legal or okay in one era is demonized in the next, and back again. It's often just legislation, shifting social attitudes, not some fixed moral truth that decides what's allowed.
And the purpose of these places, it was always deeper than just, getting wasted or having fun.
Especially after-hours clubs. They had a real socio-political role. They weren't just about extending nightlife's possibilities with drugs, sex, gambling.
They were also what?
Crucially, they were a somewhat safe social setting for people to manage the rage and anger many in this country feel. A release valve.
A way of talking back to the mainstream, often oppressive world, where subcultures could actually breathe. Marginalized groups could find a space.
Where you could be parts of yourself that society squashed. An essential counter-narrative.
And that talking back idea is so important.
Yeah.
Look at Storyville in New Orleans. a specific historical pressure cooker.
Right, 1897. And it wasn't some underground thing that just happened. It was legislated, a legitimate red light district.
Picture it, 10 blocks, 35 brothels, 2,200 prostitutes, gambling dens, opium dens, the works.
But it wasn't just about vice. It became this haven, especially for early jazz musicians.
Why them specifically?
Facing massive racism in white places, these black musicians found steady work and, maybe more importantly, huge creative freedom in Storyville.
They could just play.
They could improvise as much as they pleased, playing insane double shifts, hours and hours, often fueled by stuff like calabash or legally bought cocaine just to keep going.
So is this incubator for creativity, born out of being pushed to the margins, but happening in this officially sanctioned zone of bad behavior?
Exactly. Storyville was innovative because it was this official gray area. The outside world's rigid rules, the racism were kind of suspended there. A refuge, even though the system created it to contain bad things.
Classic containment strategy. Keep it boxed in for order, but accidentally foster something new.
And the story of cocaine becoming racialized shows how these historical accidents of what's legal aren't random. They get weaponized for social control.
How so with cocaine?
Isolated in 1860, first it was a wonder drug. Freud advocated for it. By the late 1880s, tons of products had cocaine. Coca-Cola, famously. Before 1914, it was common.
But then something shifted.
Big time.
Yeah.
Around 1898, this nasty narrative starts. Cocaine use gets explicitly tied to black people, fueled by these awful racial myths about cocainized blacks causing crime waves.
Horrible stuff like baseless claims of raping white women, and that myth about them being bulletproof to small guns, leading police to get bigger guns.
Pure, deliberate fear-mongering demonized the substance by tying it to the racial other. Use fear and prejudice to push policy.
And it worked.
Absolutely. Led directly to the 1914 Harrison Act. Criminalized the drug, pushed it underground.
And once it was illegal,
ironically, it became a status high. The rich, artists, musicians, people who could afford to break the law kept using it, but now it had this allure of being forbidden.
so this pattern, controlling vice, using racialized stories, passing laws, it sets the stage for how nightlife is regulated today. Intensely.
Yeah. Places that were about talking back slowly got turned into these highly policed zones. Every aspect, behavior, money, interaction gets formalized, controlled.
The hidden message is clear. Even rebellion needs to be contained, cataloged, and ultimately made profitable.
And you see those historical threads, control and profit, tying right into the crunch nightlife is feeling now, especially post-COVID. People are really noticing it on the ground.
Oh yeah, that Reddit thread talking about how lame the scene felt after the pandemic. Not just the vibe, but the cost.
What were they saying?
$28 for 2 drinks in DTLA. Just get in there. Uber Lyft prices up 7.2%. It's not just in your head. There's a real economic squeeze changing the whole night out experience.
And the numbers back it up. Between March 2020 and March 2025, the Consumer Price Index, basically the cost of everything, went up nearly 24% in the U.S.
Wow, well, almost a quarter.
And that's not abstract economics. That translates directly to those higher cover charges, the crazy drink prices.
Because rents are up for the venues.
Labor costs are up, trying to keep staff. Supplies cost more, everything from booze to napkins.
And they pass it straight down to us, the customer. So a casual night out suddenly feels like planning a weekend getaway just to afford it.
The barrier to entry financially, never been higher.
And it's not just us feeling it. The industry itself is hurting badly.
Like who?
That example of Stonegate Pub Company in the UK. Huge company, 4,500 pubs and bars. They announced $2.5 billion in debt, profits dropping.
Ouch. So it's widespread.
Yeah, forcing places to operate at a net negative or just shut down. The whole ecosystem, from tiny bars to big chains, is under massive pressure. Makes you wonder how long the old way can last.
This money crunch is huge, obviously. But underneath, there are deeper cultural shifts happening too, affecting who goes out and even the desire to go out.
How so?
Even before COVID, younger generations were already kind of drifting away from traditional clubbing. A 2022 survey showed only 25% of Gen Z was still interested.
Only a quarter. That's low.
It's part of this bigger trend. Young people spending 2 hours more at home per day than 20 years ago.
Why?
Seems linked to rising loneliness, more anxiety, and just this huge role of tech. Your screen, with its perfect feeds and instant hits, is replacing the dance floor. The social architecture's changing.
And that recession pop theory ties into this, right?
Yeah, Daryl Hester's idea is really interesting. He says, unlike the 2000s recession music, which was maybe aspirational but relatable escape.
Today's pop often flaunts this unattainable wealth.
Right.
Private jets, designer everything, crazy parties, a life most people can't touch.
Exactly. And that's not just music, it's a cultural message. It can make you feel super self-conscious, like you look lame or corny if you can't project that same perfect image in the club.
So the club becomes an extension of an already fake and empty world instead of an escape.
Potentially, yeah. For Gen Z who are already grappling with that online fakeness, it's another burden. A performance, not freedom.
A social contract based on showing off, not connecting. And if the music reinforces that impossible standard and phones are always out, clubs become less about release, more about mandatory performance.
And this gets amplified by the rise of section culture.
Ah, the velvet ropes inside the club.
Exactly. Clubs become these classist performative spaces.
Hey,
Exclusivity matters more than actual social mixing.
we see it right. Houston clubs needing $300 deposits for a section, plus a 4 bottles minimum, just for that area.
Oh.
Literally dividing the dance floor into haves and have-nots.
It's a blatant economic wall. It shapes the whole vibe, makes it less communal, way more transactional.
So it's not just getting in anymore. It's paying to be in the right part, sectioning off interaction.
How can real connection, spontaneous fun happen there? In that hyper-managed, economically split space, what kind of interaction are we actually creating?
Raises huge questions about authenticity.
Absolutely. But, it's not all doom and gloom. Nightlife is adapting. It's resilient. That human need for connection finds a way.
How is it adapting?
We're seeing stuff like sober nights pop up, offering a different vibe, daytime parties, changing the energy, venues mixing in art exhibitions, making it more multi-sensory.
People are being more selective too, right? Saving up for the big events.
Yeah, choosing the biggest events at the biggest venues instead of going out casually all the time.
Yeah.
And that BYOB club model, like Rumors in Houston, that's a clever adaptation.
How does that work?
Customers bring their own booze, their cost goes way down. The club still makes money from section bookings and cover charges.
So it shifts the cost burden, mitigates the pressure a bit, keeps a social space open, even if it looks different. A survival tactic. Definitely a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Shifting the model to stay alive.
But even with these changes, that iron fist of regulation and surveillance just keeps tightening its grip, transforming nightlife into something far from spontaneous fun.
It's beyond just safety now. It feels like control. And NYC's Best Practices Guide reads like a counterterrorism plan, not tips for bar owners.
The details are intense. Minimum 1 licensed and trained security guard for every 75 people. Focus on de-escalation, quick removal,
Highly formalized professional crowd control.
and the protocols for serious incidents. Almost military precision. It's chilling.
What kind of protocols?
Call 911 instantly. Do not clean the scene, at all. Overprotect the area way beyond the incident spot to save evidence. Save all money transactions. Detain witnesses.
Wow. Forensic level.
And keep all video recordings for at least 30 days. They even mandate enhanced lighting near restrooms for better video ID. Obsessed with data capture, potential criminalization. It's a panopticon on the dance floor. Every corner, every interaction, potentially recorded, cataloged.
And it's not just reacting, it's preemptive. The rules explicitly call nightlife spots attractive targets for attacks by terrorists,
Classifying them as dens of depravity and soft targets.
which then justifies needing these complex counterterrorism plans. Assign managers for security, daily searches, evacuation plans with alternate assembly areas.
Alternate areas, why?
To counter secondary explosions, they're thinking about coordinated attacks. There are even 7 key instructions for what to say and not say during an incident.
It completely reframes the space. Every club becomes a potential war zone. Every person inside a data point in a security net.
How much of this is real threat versus just wanting more control over spaces that have always been a bit wild, hard to police?
That's the million-dollar question. Look at Dallas wanting to close strip clubs at 2 a.m. because of a possible link to crime.
They cite police data.
Yeah, an 80% increase in violent crime nearby between 2 and 6 a.m. But the club owners push back hard, saying correlation isn't causation. Still, the law often moves ahead based on those stats.
Painting the clubs as the problem, not just places where things happen.
And ironically, many then use BYOB provisions to get around alcohol cutoffs, just pushing the activity into a less regulated space. It's like whack-a-mole, solve one problem, create another.
And Houston's taking that even further, right? With that BYOB ordinance, using it explicitly to target criminal activity.
Oh, the requirements there are astonishing, punitive almost. Owners need FBI DPS background checks, occupancy certificates, detailed floor plans.
And an HPD-approved security plan, including mandatory metal detectors, specific parking lot lighting, 0.7 foot candles, which is like office brightness for clear surveillance.
Plus, one security officer per 100 patrons, and video covering everywhere inside and out except bathrooms. And they flat out state, a permit is a privilege, not a right.
This isn't just safety. It's giving the state huge power to define, watch, and restrict culture in these places, formalizing control under the banner of safety, pushing out anything that doesn't fit their mold.
If you connect the dots, it's a clear trend. Every problem in nightlife historical vice, modern crime stats gets met with more rules, more oversight.
Speaking of unseen forces pulling strings,
Yeah.
let's talk about the promoters,
Yeah.
the entertainment promoters. Often invisible players who actually orchestrate a lot of this.
Right. Usually independent contractors, free agents, they get paid fees up front or more often a share of revenues.
Like from the cover charge, the door,
Yeah.
or maybe food and drink sales after midnight.
Yeah, when the big money rolls in, arrangements vary a lot. Sometimes promoters keep all the door money, venue keeps bar sales. It's flexible, but it's where the money changes hands and where it can get murky. By design, maybe.
And their job is huge, right? Way more than just flyers.
Oh, yeah. Publicity ads, sure. But they might also run security for their night, manage tickets, set the door policy, handle decor, even book the DJs or bands. That's immense control over the whole event. Like running a mini club inside the main club for a night.
And the industry is known notoriously as a largely cash business with a history of corruption and uneven record keeping. That cash nature, the informal deals, the lack of transparency. It breeds complexity and disputes, prime ground for shady stuff.
So they're vital, they fill the clubs, keep it going, but the way they operate seems built for opacity. Hard to know who really profits and how.
Think about all the moving financial parts that cause fights. Overseeing coat checks, vendor sales, collecting those online convenience fees, managing in-kind trades, swapping services instead of cash.
Even promotional giveaway items like free drink tickets.
It makes accurate accounting a nightmare, ripe for arguments, especially if someone wants to fudge the numbers. And then you have the quid pro quo cross-promotions.
Oh, that's that.
Favors for discounts. Undisclosed deals between promoters and vendors, maybe even club owners. It can slide easily into potential bribery. A whole hidden, unethical layer the average person never sees. And the power games play out right at the front door. Those lists for free entry, VIP access.
And the bouncer's total discretion on who gets in, what they pay, it often favors the party with the greater sophistication or the more control.
It's not just crowd control, it's social engineering, deciding who belongs based on connections, status, even race, before they even get inside. Subtle, but powerful.
And now we're seeing the rise of amateur promoters, too. People with big social media followings who hype events for perks or free entry.
How's that different from the old way?
The older style was more relationship building, real hospitality, remembering names, free drinks, plus ones. It built loyalty, community. This new way feels more transactional, leveraging online clout for quick wins, temporary exclusivity. It's a big shift.
Makes you wonder how these informal networks, the murky money, shape the whole scene. Maybe prioritizing quick cash and fake exclusivity over building real community.
It's a subtle shift in the deal you make when you go out. Systems designed to extract value, not foster connection.
And this focus on profit, this curated, exclusive vibe, brings us right back to the human cost, especially for people on the front lines, like the bottle girls. Their stories reveal that darker side of the disco ball.
And it's way beyond just the stereotype of grabby men.
Totally. One woman shared horrifying physical violations, ass slapped, bitten on the neck in a packed club, having her bodysuit pulled aside to see if I was wearing underwear.
Jesus.
That's assault.
But here's the twist. The really surprising hidden dynamic she revealed.
More often than not, white women were the ones inappropriately touching me.
Wow. That flips the script, points to a whole other layer of entitlement and commodifying women's bodies, even by other women, in these spaces. Chilling, often overlooked.
This is exactly where we need to be, like defenders of the unheard, champions of authenticity, especially for marginalized folks, sex workers, survivors. Their stories get dismissed.
These accounts show how systemic it is. Harassment, discrimination. It's not just a few bad apples.
She also faced constant racial microaggressions, overt bias, not just from customers, but coworkers, managers.
Like what?
Intrusive, dehumanizing questions. What are you? Where are you from? People needing to categorize her. Unhappy if she just said she was born in Queens. Looking for something exotic. She saw coworkers skipping their spot in rotation if a black couple sat down. Just blatant prejudice. And a manager told her, an Afro-Latina, She looks surprisingly Spanish after styling her hair.
From her manager. That's unbelievable. A constant battle just to exist, to have your identity respected in a place already treating you like a commodity.
It shows this deep bias within the industry, deciding who gets respect, who's seen as less than, and the most heartbreaking part, what really shows how deep the system runs.
What's that?
Her admitting she had to play the game. Basically, catering to white supremacy just to survive financially.
She felt proximity to whiteness made her more acceptable.
Explicitly, she knew proximity to whiteness made me more palatable and directly affected her earnings, her ability to pay for school.
That's not just individual bias. That's the system, where those contracts about appearance, the expectation of supplemental duties like dancing with guests, it normalizes harassment, body policing.
The money traps people. Money, of course, she said, traps them in places where this stuff is everywhere, rarely dealt with because the industry itself profits from that vulnerability. It feeds the cycle.
These stories are crucial. They expose how systems claiming to be about glamour can actually enable dehumanizing practices.
So we come full circle. That nightlife allure, the paid to party, serious tips, dream.
Yeah.
It's real for a tiny few, maybe. But for many, it's a well-crafted fantasy hiding a tough, often brutal reality.
We follow this tension, right? From nightlife as rebellion, a refuge for the marginalized talking back, to today's hyper-regulated, economically squeezed performative scene.
The control, the commodification, the exploitation, it runs deep, deeper than the bass line.
So if nightlife was fundamentally about talking back, about real spontaneous connection, what does it mean when those spaces get so regulated, so performative, so squeezed by money and social pressure that it warps human interaction itself?
Can that genuine vibe people crave even exist when the floor is sliced into sections? When interactions are filtered through unattainable wealth fantasies and surveillance is everywhere?
It forces you to think about the future of real social connection in a world this commodified. What do we lose when the raw, messy humanity of these spaces gets smoothed over, controlled, turned into a profit-driven show?
That's a question that definitely sticks with you after the lights come up.
This episode is powered by NeonKore Media for stories they said were too real to tell.